Hello everyone, Namaste. Welcome to the topic of special antennas, that is smart antenna. Learning outcomes. At the end of this video, you will be able to define smart antenna. You will be able to explain types of smart picture. Okay, what is smart antenna at all? In the types of antenna, I talked about smart antenna, what it is. So, what is smart antenna? Let us see what it is. Smart antenna, also known as adaptive array antennas. So, as the name indicates, adaptive, and array means the antenna elements put together is an array. It forms an antenna array. Adaptive is adjusting the pattern of the array. So, its name is adaptive array antenna. So, smart antenna, also known as adaptive array antennas. This concept of adaptive array antenna will be much clear when I explain you the working and with the examples. And digital antenna array is also the name for smart antenna. Also, there are the names as multiple antennas, and it is also recently called as MIMO, multiple input, multiple output. Antenna arrays with smart signal processing algorithms are used to identify the spatial signal signatures, which is direction of arrival signal. So, the arrays are used with signal processing algorithms for detection of direction of arrival of signal. So, these are used to calculate beam forming vectors, which are used to track and locate the antenna beam on the mobile or target. Smart antennas are different than reconfigurable antennas. Most of the times it happens that reconfigurable antennas are confused with smart antennas, but they are different from smart antenna. Both of them have similar capabilities, but the single element antennas are called as reconfigurable antennas and not the antenna arrays. So, when it comes to antenna arrays, it's a smart antenna. When it comes to simple element, then or a single element antenna, then it comes to the reconfigurable antennas. What is the objective of the smart antenna? The objective is to maximize the gain in the desired direction, and another objective is to minimize the gain in the direction of interference. So, in the direction of interference, we are going to nullify, or we want the null, or we want the minimum radiation, whereas in the direction of maximum gain, in the direction where the actual target is there, in that direction I want the maximum gain. So, here smart antenna, when I say, as I am saying, we want the maximum gain in the desired direction. This is the desired user. So, in this direction we want maximum gain, whereas in interfering user we want null in that case. So, that is what is the requirement or the objective. Working of smart antenna. Technical aspects involve number of elements fed with the signals which are adaptively processed. So, there are number of elements, that means the antenna array, those are fed with the signals which are adaptively processed, which are processed adaptively one after the other in space and with the space-time filtering. What are the types of smart antennas? So, there are basically two types of smart antennas, adaptive array antenna and switched beam array antenna. Let us see first the adaptive array antenna. It is the core system component in mobile networks. Adaptive array antenna is a core system component in mobile networks. Adaptive array, as the name is there, adaptive, it allows the antenna to steer the beam to any direction of interest while simultaneously nulling the interfering signal. So, adapting in the sense what? It is allowing or steering the beam in the direction of interest and nullifying or nulling the beam in the direction of interfering signals. This adaptive antenna array can track and locate the signals. Here the diagrammatically it is shown, where you can see these are the antennas and this is the these are the weightages provided to it, all summed together. There is the adaptive algorithm is there. The output of this is a beam forming signal. This beam forming signal given here, and whatever desired signal is given here, the error signal when fed to adaptive algorithm, the adaptive algorithm will adopt in such a way that it provides the maximum gain in the desired direction and null in the interfering direction. This is what is the adaptive array antenna system. So it can locate and track the user signals, that is users as well as interferences. It can customize an appropriate radiation pattern for each individual user. So for each user, it can create or customize the radiation pattern. Now let us see the difference between what is the difference between the conventional array and beam forming array. See, if this is the radiation pattern of one antenna, this is radiation pattern of the other antenna. Likewise, these are the individual radiation patterns. So if I see all the antennas radiation pattern, this is a complete one. It is the case of conventional array. But if I say this is of the beam forming array, so the beam forming array is making the radiation to increase, or the more is the gain in a desired direction where the main beam is, where the target is. In that case, you can see the main beam, you can see the larger lobe, you can see the higher gain. Whereas in the other directions, you can see the side lobes which have very less gain. So this is the difference between the conventional array and beam forming array in terms of radiation. Another type of the antenna, which is a switched beam array antenna. As the name itself indicates, switched beam, that means the radiation beam is getting switched. So switched beam array antenna have several fixed beam patterns, and only the decision need to be made which beam is to be accessed at a given point of time. The aim of the switched beam system is increasing the gain according to the location of the user. So based on the location of the user, increase the gain of that particular beam. Let me show you diagrammatically. So these are the multiple beams that you can see, but only active beam is this one. This is for these beams are formed due to antenna array, and this is the where here if user is there, this beam is active at a particular point of time. So multiple fixed beams with one beam turned on towards the desired signal, that is the switched beam antenna or switched beam array, or I can also say single beam is steered to the desired signal. Single beam is getting steered to the desired signal. Comparison between switched and the adaptive array antenna, if I see, you can see here, switched beam array antenna will be giving the maximum gain for the desired user. For interfering users or for interference, it is there are the minor lobes. But in case of adaptive scheme, you can see for the desired user, the maximum gain is there. But at the same time, for interfering users, there is a null. So that is what is the adaptive scheme. So it's adopting in that way. So this is the difference between the switched antenna and adaptive array antenna. You can see here, based on the criteria, I can differentiate between switched beam and adaptive array. So here, based on the integration, switched beam is easy to implement it and it has a low cost. Whereas adaptive antenna array system, the transceiver complexity is there, so that the cost is high and less hardware redundancy is there in adaptive arrays. Based on range and coverage, if I compare, switched beam has more coverage compared to conventional system and less coverage compared to adaptive array. Whereas adaptive arrays, more coverage is there compared to switched beam system. If I talk in terms of interference rejection, there is a difficulty in a switched beam in distinguishing between desired signal and interferer, and doesn't react to the movement of interferers. Whereas in adaptive array, as you've seen in the lobe also, focusing is narrower. and it is capable of nulling the interfering signals, as I've shown in the previous slide. Here it is capable of nullifying the or nulling the applications are the different applications are mobile communications, cellular and wireless networks, satellite communications, wireless sensor network, military application and electronic warfare. These are the different applications of smart antenna. These are the references used for preparing this video. Thank you.